Hey guys, it's Sarah and welcome back to the Newton Clan. So I know it's kind of been a while, but I started back school and I got a job, which has been really great, but it kind of has taken up a lot of my time. But I am so glad to be getting back into making videos, and I hope to be making a lot more soon. So today's video is going to be about some of my favorite classics. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, classics are not usually something I read. It's not that I avoid them, just generally don't get to them. I'm usually a fantasy kind of person. But one of my best friends in the entire world loves classics, and I respect that. Some of them are amazing novels. So today I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite classics because this friend of mine inspires me and I love her so much. So I kind of want to be able to share with her some of the classics that mean stuff to me. So let's get into it. So the first classic I have on my list is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Now, when I first was assigned to read this for school, I was not exactly thrilled. I mean, it's kind of a large book. Not really, but I mean, it looks like it from the outside. And so I wasn't really excited, but I decided, you know what? I'll have an open mind, I'll give it a try, and I'm glad I did because I loved this book. I actually listened to the audiobook while I was reading along, and that was really helpful. The guy that voiced it, I think, did a really good job, and I enjoyed it. It's an amazing story about a family who's trying to survive during the French Revolution, and it really gives you a great insight onto how life was at that time and how much of a struggle it was for so many families. So I definitely would congratulate Charles Dickens on his amazing novel and great comparison of life at that time. So the next book on my list is The Last of the Mohicans by James Fenimore Cooper. Now, I loved this book. I thought it was really well done. I thought Cooper did an amazing job, but actually a lot of people I've heard do not really care for this book. A lot of people criticize his description of the Indians. They think he was being too harsh and prejudiced towards them, but I thought it was a great book. It's definitely an adventurous tale, and it covers the story of two girls as they're trying to reconnect and find their father during the French and Indian War, and kind of the people they meet along the way and the people they encounter. And it's an amazing story, and it's definitely a book I would suggest picking up for those who want to read a classic but are looking for more of an adventure story rather than a romantic tale. So the next book on my list is Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare. Now, I've actually read a few plays by Shakespeare. I've actually read Romeo and Juliet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and then Julius Caesar. And out of the three, I like Julius Caesar the most. And again, that's probably because it was not romantically motivated. There was really no romance in this book. It was really politically motivated, if that's even a thing, if that's even, a topic. But it's based off of the life story and the events that occurred during Julius Caesar's life. And so that was really fun for me to read about because I really enjoyed reading about ancient Rome and Greece, I guess you'd say, all those places and their cultures. And so reading Julius Caesar was actually a lot of fun for me. But I would definitely suggest, if you're going to read any play by Shakespeare, not even just Julius Caesar, but any play, picking up this edition. It's by SparkNotes, and it's called No Fear Shakespeare. And so on the inside, on one side of the book, you're going to have original Shakespearean text, and on the other side, you're going to have English. And that obviously makes it so much easier to read. So if you ever have to read this for school, I would definitely pick up this edition. And if you ever get the chance to pick which Shakespeare play you're going to read, I would totally pick up Julius Caesar. It's a great one. So the next book on my list is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Now, I've actually read The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and then I've read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and out of the two, I liked Huckleberry Finn more. Huckleberry Finn I thought was more fun because I think, if I remember correctly, in this book, you read from the perspective of Huckleberry Finn. In Tom Sawyer, I think it's just an overall general, I don't think you read really from anybody's particular perspective. And so that was one thing I really loved about Huckleberry Finn. And also Huckleberry Finn, he's pretty much most of the story by himself. Tom Sawyer, there's other characters in the story, but I actually liked having Huckleberry Finn by himself. And so this takes place in 1884, 1885 time period, somewhere in there. And so it's about the struggle that Huckleberry Finn has growing up and kind of how he ends up on his own. And so I thought it was a great novel. It was definitely a fun little adventure. And so if you're ever looking for something a little bit more funsy, perhaps, not so hardcore or politically motivated like Julius Caesar was, I would totally pick up something like Huckleberry Finn. So the last classic on my list is my beautiful copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. I love this cover. Like, this cover is just so nice. This is the Barnes & Noble, I think, exclusive edition, and I love this edition of the book. It's so pretty. But anyway, back to the actual content of the book. To Kill a Mockingbird, I think, is fairly wide known. I think for the most part, you either like it or you don't. I really enjoyed it. And To Kill a Mockingbird comes from the perspective of an 8 or 9 year old girl, and it talks about her life in Alabama during the civil rights time period, and it's kind of the struggle that her and her family go through when they are accepting of all people, but everybody else in their town isn't really. And so it kind of goes to the struggle of her growing and learning and trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong when so many people are telling her, I think it's Scout, by the way, when everybody's telling Scout what's right and what's wrong, and she's trying to figure out whose opinions are right and wrong. And so it's a great tale. It's a fun tale. There's actually a movie. There might have been a movie. There's a movie of a few of those, but I think out of all of those, I like this movie the best. This one has Gregory Peck in it in the film, and it was a great film. They did a great job trying to keep most of the main points and the feelings associated with the book in the movie. So I would definitely suggest obviously picking up and reading the book, but the movie is really great too. So I would definitely, out of all of those, I would definitely think this one is the one most worth picking up, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's my opinion. But this is a great one. So I would definitely suggest, if you're ever assigned to read this, definitely be looking forward to it because it's a great book. So that is it, guys. That is all the classics that are on my favorites list. I think that was 5, so I figured that was a fairly decent number, but also that's about only ones I've read that I could really put on the list. But I am having another English class this year. Being my senior year, this will be my last one, so I'm expecting to read a few more classics, and so I may be able to do an updated favorites classics list after this school year. But I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and to my special friend out there, you know who you are. I'm so glad that I got to do this video for you. I know you love classics, and I am going to try and read a few more. But I would love to hear from you guys and what you guys' favorite classics are. So if you would just comment them down below, I would love to know. If you have any suggestions based off what I read, I'm pointing back here because the books are right here, just so you know. I'm not a crazy person. But if there's any that you guys like, that you think I might like based off of my suggestions, I would love to hear what you guys would suggest. And thanks again so much for watching this video. Kids, don't forget to tip your waitresses, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Mark Cooper. Now, I would also have blah, blah, blah. And I blah, blah, blah. I mean, I could end it there. I would definitely suggest this one. Here you go. What y'all's? That's not even a word. I mean, I'm from the South, and I know, like, you say y'all, but y'all's is definitely not a word.